with another video. Knee slapper.
We out here.
This is Fuel for the Fire.
Oh yeah. What episode are we on?
Episode 4.
What?
No, we're on.
No,
Yes,
we're
we
like
are.
We're
six.
five.
We're 5.
We're like 5, probably.
5, you're right. It's 5.
Wait, 5?
Yeah.
Cole was number 4?
Cole's 4. That's right.
Wait, didn't we do another outdoor one before Cole?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that
then
was,
we had the
that was
indoor.
3.
Was in the indoor one too?
So this is 5.
Indoor
right?
was 2.
Yeah. Number 5.
Yep.
It's been a minute.
It's been 5 weeks. And we've been on the air,
Holy
running.
shit. It's flown by. It's going fast.
It's been a while. So what you guys been up to?
Well, Justin and I went on a business trip.
New
for
York City.
A week, yeah. New York City. New York City!
New York.
New York. The Big Apple. The city that never sleeps.
The dirtiest city in the world.
It was disgusting.
The
Phil,
rats are as big as cats.
the rats are as big as those little tiny dogs that all those people have.
Those
Yeah.
dogs are pretty much rats.
Yeah, no.
Practically.
I hate those dogs.
Little
quote-
purse dogs.
Can I get
Quote
some
Hank
background?
Williams Jr. Yeah.
You listen to Hank
Send
Williams?
me to hell or New York City. It'll be about the same to me. So yeah.
We were
Okay.
sitting outside by a puddle of cigarette butts and strange liquid
And trash.
and trash next to a giant truck that made it impossible for me to hear Justin, who was sitting
you
about that
mind?
far away from me.
Do you mind?
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. But you guys had a good time though, right?
We did. We had a good time.
Yeah, it was great. Met some great people.
It's a whole leadership thing. So we were like upstate in this leadership center created by the company we work at. And it was like a little campus, pretty much a hotel.
Yeah.
Really good food.
Amazing food.
At
Caleb,
the campus?
oh my
Extraordinary.
God, dude.
Really?
I had oh my God, what's it called? The fish eggs.
Caviar.
Caviar?
Caviar on a waffle.
Are you serious?
Like, why do you even need that? Why is that a thing? Why
How
does
was
it
that an
exist?
option?
It just was. It was just there. Oh.
You have to.
I think it's so
I feel like you
good.
have to get it.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, it was.
Was it good?
No,
It wasn't good.
I didn't think it was very good.
I
What?
didn't even try.
Oh, just caviar in general, or?
I don't know. Caviar is not that good. It's just salty and has a weird texture to it. And then it was a waffle and 2 different types of caviar. And then in the middle there was like cream cheese.
There were a lot of
waffle?
strange foods with strange textures. There was this chia seed mango pudding. Do you have that, Justin?
No. I did not.
It's quite good. There was peach kombucha, strawberry kombucha, chlorophyll water, chlorophyll cucumber water. There were this plum salad, like straight up plums.
Nah. Just send me to McDonald's.
It
I'll be
was
happy.
delicious.
I had McDonald's, I think, 3 times this week.
There was phyllo dough, like pork and cream cheese, like crumpets. It was delectable.
I don't even know what that is.
Delectable.
Phyllo?
Phyllo dough is like baklava. That's what it's.
Baklava?
Yeah, sure.
Provence says everything wrong.
Yeah.
Salmon, salamon.
Salmon.
Salmon.
Is
How
it
do you-
baklava
How
or
do you say
baklava?
salmon?
Salmon?
Thank you.
Salmon.
How do you say it?
Salmon.
No, you do not. You mother.
Salmon. Salmon.
Salmon. And I tried to tell the waiter that one time that you were saying it wrong, and then you flamed me in front of the waiter.
Wait, I
waitress.
did?
Yeah, you're like, he's just trying to be funny. I was like, oh, dang.
Was she like confused? She was like, "What are you talking about, bro?" And I'm like, "He's just trying to be funny."
Yeah, and she was like, no, it's Solomon. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm the odd one out here.
Oh, she was like, it's salmon?
Yeah, she was on
What?
Provence side.
Salmon.
I was like, where
I've never
am
heard anyone
I?
say that. I've never heard a salmoner.
A salmoner?
No,
Well, there's one in your proximity, I
I
suppose.
know.
It's a red flag if I've ever
Disagree, I
seen one.
guess. Yeah. Can I see the lighter?
Sure.
Yeah, the food was
Nice.
very good. The food was very good,
So what else did you guys do?
but strange.
Huh?
The food was very good, but strange.
Oh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We-
It's better than my cooking, though. I'll give you that.
We-
It can't be worse.
They had chilled soup there,
Like, yeah, gazpacho.
Oh, what's that called? Yeah, gazpacho.
but it was watermelon flavored chilled soup.
Yeah,
What?
it was very
Nah,
weird.
no way. I'm not eating cold soup. I'll eat mayonnaise banana sandwiches.
We just were in the most
Before
opposite
that.
areas because we were at Crotonville, eating 5-star dishes, Michelin level stuff every night, and then we go to New York and I just ate pizza 3 times a day.
That's not even true though. Like in New York City, we ate like good food.
We ate all right, yeah.
We had that
Did you
Italian
just lie to
dinner.
us, Justin?
That was well, he was there less than I was.
Oh, yeah, on the other days.
Fight.
Bro, this fire is roaring.
I know. Maybe we got.
I told you, never underestimate me.
Never underestimate you.
Did you fuck saying that up twice on purpose? I really hope it was on purpose. He said that earlier before we started.
You never underestimate me. That's all I have to say.
This fire is subliminal.
Subliminal.
Caleb.
It's
I don't
good.
understand.
Subliminal.
Okay, I don't understand why you're making fun of me for
Because that's
subliminal.
it's not a word.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's a word, but it's used in the wrong context.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's not. It's different than.
Okay, yeah. You don't even know, bro. Come on.
Like, it's just something to make fun of you for.
Subliminal. What does subliminal mean?
Subliminal means subtle
Sublime.
or small.
In an owl type of way.
No.
In an owl type of way.
So I don't remember what context I used, but it's subliminal is the past tense of sublime.
The past tense.
Yeah, the pretense. You know.
Sublime.
The past tense of an adjective.
Do you know what sublime means?
What does sublime mean? I don't know.
I can't explain sublime. It's like awesome, all-knowing, powerful.
Yeah.
Whoa, it's not all knowing.
Yeah, but it's like,
It is awesome though.
it's like amazing. Like
It is amazing.
Amazing.
on the dot, dipping dots.
On the Dippin' Dot.
It's on.
Dipping on the dot.
So what? And then you stayed longer, Justin.
Yeah, I stayed.
What?
Couple days
What
extra.
the heck did you do?
I met up with some friends.
Okay.
I went downtown. I got drunk every night.
So this is after the conference. We went to the city, just for
Um,
clarification.
I went to a party on Wall Street.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hype.
Yeah.
That is cool. I'll
Well, it
give
was
you
a
that.
pregame. It wasn't a party, actually.
Was it expensive, like the drinks and food?
Yeah. I think I probably spent like near $1,000
Jeez.
overall on the trip.
Really?
I don't know. Are you the same?
Kind of.
$1,000? What did you buy?
I spent. Okay. You're gonna hate me for this.
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh God. What are you gonna say?
I actually made money from that trip.
How?
Dang, bro.
Did you upcharge us on the hotel?
No.
You
I
made
used
a
my
profit.
credit card points for the hotel.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's acceptable.
Yeah, but what about food?
All the money I got from divvying up the hotel, I spent in New York City. And I had a surplus at the end of the day.
That doesn't make any sense. What'd you pay for it?
He got
Credit card points.
He got a hotel with his credit card points, but we all split it. So then we all paid him, but he only used his credit card points. So he got like $300-$400 from us, and then he just used that on
Oh.
food.
So you got screwed, Justin.
I mean, I didn't. You know,
No,
it
you
would have been
didn't
the
get
same price
screwed.
anyway.
It's the same. It's like
Yeah.
I
You just
still
weren't
have
as
something
smart,
of.
I guess.
I still have something of value that I used, like credit card points. Like I had to build those up over years.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was free for real.
Yeah.
But like when I talk about cash, I spent like probably like 700 or 600. I think I spent like $500 around that amount.
Mm-hmm.
So Justin went ham.
I was there 2 more days.
That's true. You were longer. You
And
were
my
longer.
hotel that the other Edison got was $200. It was outside the city. And then after I was drunk, the only way to get back to my place was on a bus. And I was drunk, and it was 4 a.m. and I just did not want to take an hour and a half long bus ride back to my hotel at 4 a.m. So I got an Uber, $60 Uber.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Then
I would have took that.
Then
bus.
coming back, I got lost. So then I had to get another $60 Uber. Plus my hotel was $200.
Wait, you got lost?
On the buses, yes, it was very complicated.
And you had to pay $60?
I paid $120 just for Ubers in 2 trips.
That's how much.
So
yeah.
$320 just for one night.
It's hard solo traveling. It's like
Mm-hmm.
taking an Uber. If you split it amongst 4 people, it'll be way more manageable.
Yeah, it's.
I wasted $80. I bought a ticket for a play,
Mhm.
but then I didn't have enough. I just kind of felt like I spent some time with my friend who lived in the city, and I just felt like I wasn't gonna have enough time to spend with him, so I decided to just spend more time with him.
Mhm.
And then I couldn't go to the play because of that, so I just freaking $80 just disappeared into the wind, just gone.
You didn't want to sell it like on the corner.
Well, we didn't have enough time to sell it. I would have tried doing that thing.
Yeah.
It would have been funny.
Yeah.
I was like, Justin, try to sell my ticket.
And then Justin stayed later.
Yeah, I
Got home today.
Mm-hmm. I slept on a Turkish person's couch. That was good.
I don't think I've ever met a Turkish person before.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. Before today.
Turkey? Like,
I know one girl from Turkey. She's super cool.
really?
Yeah, she was from Istanbul.
Yeah.
Is
Or-
that in Turkey?
Yeah, it's like the capital. Her dad was like a
Really?
famous film director.
What?
So I met her in.
Have you seen any of his films?
No, I haven't. No.
Why didn't you tell
We
us?
should
this?
watch some of them.
What do you mean? It's never been relevant to talk about this. But you just brought up.
We watch
knowing people-
movies.
Oh.
Wait,
I
was
mean-
that the girl you liked? Was that the?
Which one? Which
I don't
girl?
know. That she like moved away.
Wait, I don't know if there was ever any girl I told you about that I liked that moved away.
I thought there was. I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing it with something else.
Tripping.
No, this was a girl I liked, like my junior year of high school.
Wait, so it was her. But she then move back to Turkey?
Maybe did I tell you about this girl?
Yeah.
I met her at Pratt pre-college. We liked each other. She wanted me to come to Turkey, but I never had enough money. She's in Prague right now.
Prague.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, you know who I'm thinking of is Brandon. Brandon had a girlfriend from Turkey, but then she moved back and she couldn't get a visa.
Okay.
And they were separated and they broke up because of it.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, it fucking sucks.
That's tragic, man.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do in that situation, right?
How long ago was this?
I don't know. I think it was at some point in college for him.
Word.
I think.
Yeah, that'd be crazy having like a girlfriend.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy, right?
That would be crazy. Can you
That's good.
imagine?
That's wild. Couldn't be me.
Nah,
Nah.
nah, I got priorities, man. I got McDonald's, school, Justin. Gotta listen to Justin all day long. How did
Bro, Justin takes so much time, man. How am I supposed to manage a girlfriend?
Yeah,
and
I
He's
a-
take
so
time, I
needy.
take money, I take... I drain the emotions out
Foot
of the people
massages
around me.
every night at 2 a.m.
We can start the... Wait.
He
He doesn't know about
He
it.
needs to be
though.
read a bedtime story every night.
Yeah.
Oh
Milk.
god, he needs his breakfast made every morning.
Don't say you milk me. Oh, I
No, I
like,
give you milk. No, I don't milk you. That's yeah. No. That's Pravad.
Pravad.
We
That's
milk
Pravad.
Pravad.
No, we milk Pravad.
Wait, what?
That's a callback to Teenage
Teenage
Mutant
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They milk.
If you
the
guys haven't
turtles.
seen that movie, check it out. It's a very good movie.
Yeah, good movie. They milked the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for their.
Don't spoil it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna watch it.
Oh,
Really?
come
What?
on,
You
dude.
gotta watch it, dude.
I was never into that when I was a kid.
You don't need to
I
be
wasn't
into
either.
them. I wasn't either. Like, it's just like the animation style and the story is actually really good.
Okay. My thought is I'm gonna be seeing Barbie if I go to the movies anytime soon.
Yeah, you should watch Barbie.
Because I still haven't seen that. That's
Did
higher
we
on
give
my
our
list.
thoughts on Barbie?
I don't know if he did it on the
I don't think we did.
podcast.
No.
Should
Should
we
we
do
give
that
our
real quick?
Quick thoughts.
Good movie.
Little quickie.
Fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a good movie, actually. Because, you know,
I
like
think
the
it's
plot was kind of whack.
overhyped. It's overhyped. It made me laugh a lot.
It was
give it that.
funny for sure.
It was entertaining.
It was
right?
entertaining.
If you don't take it too seriously, like
The ending
think
is
it's
really
fine.
messed up though. Like I feel
I don't-
really bad
What
for
does she
Ken.
get forced back? He gets forced back into the Barbie world or something, and he knows that, like,
Well, the whole thing was
He's-
about
he's
like gender
escaped the-
equality, but like you never achieve gender equality.
yeah, at the end it's still skewed in a weird
in
way.
the,
Like
the male direction or the female?
In the
The
direction?
female direction.
like they're like
The
at the
bar-
very end they're like, oh okay, yeah, well, but you still gotta be. You can't be in the Supreme Court.
Yeah, so it's like Barbie Land, and Barbie Land, all the women rule everything, and all the Kens are all the men.
So it's like
It's a reversal.
matriarchy.
Yeah, it's a
That's
matriarchy.
that's the whole
Patriarchy.
thing. But then they never like even it out. It still stays like it goes
A
down a little
matriarchy.
bit, you
Yeah.
know, and like so I don't know. I don't know why it was like why it was like that.
So do you think they're trying to make a social point there? They must be, right? Or
Yeah,
is it
yeah,
just kind of how it is?
definitely.
I guess, but it was just weird because they're just preaching how unfair it is and how hard it is to be a woman. And then when they have the opportunity to change, they did. I don't know. I'm thinking too much into it because it's Barbie, you know. Like I don't want.
But that's the
I don't
problem
want to be
with the
that
movie.
guy.
I mean, but when we're talking about it, right?
Yeah. I don't want to be that guy, but at the same time, it's like, come on.
That reminds me of what's that one movie with Kate Blanchett in it?
Tar?
Tar, yeah.
Haven't seen it.
So it's about this composer, music director of one of the most prestigious music institutions, and she's a female, powerful, well-spoken, respected, and because of that, of course, with all of her students, there's a power dynamic, and she starts to use that power dynamic as leverage for sexual relationships, I think, with other students, and sexually assaults
Goddamn.
students, and I guess abuses them to a certain extent. But eventually she gets canceled, and the whole thing is essentially, like, the thought behind it was, we've seen all of these different movies where there's guys and the guy gets canceled and he does something bad, right, in real life and in fiction, Hollywood, but flipping it makes it so that power dynamic makes more sense, and it's like it's something new, right? Because you always see the guy getting canceled, you always see the patriarch getting canceled, but what about when you see the strong female character? So it, you know, they said it's more effective commentary on power dynamics and gender norms and the
Yeah.
Me Too movement and that alleyway of things.
Yeah, it's fresh.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I really liked it. Really, really liked it. I thought it was
I-
a great movie.
Didn't understand what was going on because I don't understand music like that.
I don't think you really needed to understand music.
I think you did.
Yeah.
And I really, like, maybe I just don't have a basic understanding of, like, classical music.
I think
But
all you
I
needed
just-
was she was the conductor for a classical, symphony.
I didn't understand what they were saying in the dialogue
Yeah.
because they were talking in jargon that I wasn't familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But she was a fantastic actress, and she won Best Actress. I'm pretty sure.
For that.
I'm pretty sure she did.
In the Oscars,
Yeah, and she was really good.
I mean, Kate Blanchett is very talented.
Yeah, she was. It was a really good performance. Definitely the best of the year. Either that or Michelle Yeoh from
Anything, Everywhere. All at
Anything Everywhere.
Still haven't
One.
seen that movie. I gotta watch
I
that.
can't believe you haven't.
Yeah, we gotta watch that sometimes. I got a massive poster
What do they call that genre? Meta?
Like
of everything.
multiple universe.
Metaverse.
Did
No,
they just
what?
call it meta? I don't know. There's a
Multiverse.
No,
the multiverse
but there's a
genre.
name for that type of genre now.
Is it not the multiverse?
Where they're all, it's, I don't know.
That was like a one of a kind movie though.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a name for it.
It was a
but,
multiverse, but it was interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
we need to watch that though.
yeah, we definitely got to. But for me, my week was spent under a hurricane, and no one checked up on me, so I could have died.
We knew you were okay.
The house could have been
Wasn't even
destroyed.
that bad.
I could have been on the street,
On the street.
and begging, but no. I was fine because it wasn't that bad. But
What could have been?
what could have been? It's the thought that counts. But Justin was too preoccupied.
They still had flights
Drinking.
coming into Wilmington on Thursday. So
Yeah. We won't talk about that. But
you're like, what the fuck?
it's all good. It's all good.
What was it actually like?
I forgive you guys. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It only took me a week.
We never said we're sorry, but okay.
You're gonna
I'm
be bringing
forgiving
this
you.
up
anyway.
like 10 years from now.
Yeah. That's something about me, Pravab, is I hold grudges.
Yeah.
Do you? Oh god. Oh,
I
great.
lied to him back in middle school, probably.
Okay, but that's messed up. Like the context was messed up. You want to tell the story? Do you even care?
It's not my proudest moment.
Okay.
No, keep that one. But I
Anyways.
apologized, right?
You apologized like 4 years after, but it made me feel like crap for 4 years.
Oh
And then I'm supposed to be the good guy. Oh yeah, no, sure, whatever. I just felt embarrassed for 4 years. Whatever.
You
like
gotta move on.
grudges make sense.
Grudges don't make sense.
They're
They
not
do.
productive. They're not practical.
They don't have to be practical. Not everything has to be practical.
how does that
Mr.
make sense?
Logic.
It should be though.
Mr. Perfect.
Like some people, and I think I've changed a little bit on this because people who are optimistic, it's more practical to lean in that direction.
Indeed.
You're gonna have a better life if you're an optimistic person, and you're gonna have a better life if you don't hold grudges against people, even if it's justified to hold a grudge
Well,
against someone.
I don't fully agree. Because if you don't hold grudges, then you're just going to be succumb to evil wrongdoing all the time.
Just learn. Just
Like,
learn
just-
and don't repeat yourself. But
Exactly. By holding grudges.
Forgive.
Forgive, but don't
Forget.
forget, Caleb.
We're cool. Like, I forgave. I didn't forgive you, but, like, we're cool, you know what I'm saying?
Why?
I know, no, I don't care anymore.
If you hold grudges, is there anyone who you don't have a grudge against?
Pravab.
You just
It's
met
gonna
him.
it's
You
gonna
guys
be
have known each other
inevitable
for
though. I'm
2
gonna do
months.
something to piss you off. Like
Well, no, remember that one time at the Asian restaurant
no.
and you made fun of me?
That was a fucking conversation.
I'll never forget that.
Oh my god.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well shit. I don't think I'm ever living that one down then.
Yeah. You done messed up now, Pravab. Okay, but what's the word? Grudges make sense, and I will die on that hill
Alright. Alone.
alone as usual.
Okay, what if everyone lived the way that you do, though? And
That would be a
grudges?
miserable world.
Yeah.
Where no one forgave each other.
Yeah, but the problem is the difference between you and me is I don't lie about when I'm in middle school. That's a lie.
Oh my god.
But
Have you ever lied in your life, Caleb?
yes,
Okay. Have you ever done something you're not proud of?
every day, even today.
What did you do today?
Where do I start?
What if there was some little gremlin that just followed you around all day, every day, and took note of all your misdemeanors and...
A gremlin?
I don't fucking
A
know.
little gnome.
A little
A
gnome?
little.
Do you know I have a
little
gnome
elf.
collection?
You do not.
The grudge?
Yeah. I have
You
over
have a
50
gnome?
gnomes.
What?
Yeah, should I bring them?
Yeah.
Oh.
I went to a yard sale when I was garage sale flipping. Shout out Gary V. And
He inspired you to do that?
yeah, I love Gary V. garage sale flipping.
He's such an asshole.
Yeah, I know, it's awesome. They're like, this will be $25. It's like, can you do 50 cents? And they're like, sure.
Literally.
It's a shirt.
He's like, I just
And
robbed
he's
that
like,
suburban
yeah,
family
I
of this
just killed
Pokemon
them.
card. Yeah, I fucking destroyed them.
Destroy. Is it not recording?
No, it is.
What are you
I just
looking
thought I
for?
saw Brian pull up.
I mean, he wouldn't have texted me about it. He would have texted you.
I thought that was my phone.
Oh.
He didn't text me.
But anyways, I went to a house, and I told them this like story about how I'm trying to save money up for college, and they were like, "Hey, you want to? We got a bunch of gnomes. You want to sell these gnomes?" I was like, "Sure." And there's like paperwork for every gnome, a backstory for every gnome, and it's like one of the most famous gnome makers, and I was selling gnomes for like $50 a pop,
Dead ass.
and I had like 30, 40 gnomes.
Dead ass.
Yeah, on eBay.
So $1,500 out of 30 gnomes.
I didn't sell them though,
So you still have those gnomes.
and so I still have like 20 gnomes.
So
But I made a lot of
You
money,
have $1,000 worth of gnomes still.
and
You need to
they
sell those
gave
things.
the gnomes to me for free.
Damn, bro,
Yeah.
sell that shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to. That's why I was doing my whole eBay thing. Honestly, that was the most fun I ever had.
Really?
Garage sale flipping.
That's cool.
I went every Saturday, woke up early, went to a garage sale.
Well, that's cool.
It
Do that
was
shit
awesome.
here,
And I
dude.
went and sold stuff to the flea market.
Oh,
It was so
sick.
much fun.
Yeah, man. That's sick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Did you make money?
No. I'm pretty sure I like broke even because I spent so much money on products. I was like, this will sell, and it just sat in the eBay for eternity. I tried Amazon FBA.
Amazon what?
FBA.
What is that?
I don't know what it stands for, but it's just like Amazon, but through Amazon. Or no, it's like
Amazon
Wait,
through
what?
Amazon.
It's like eBay, but it's through Amazon because you know they have third party.
So just, yeah, independent sellers on Amazon.
Yeah. I was the independent seller.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, good times. Yep, living the dream.
Making that bread.
Yep.
So I guess another update for you guys. We've been making progress on the house.
Oh, yeah.
Moving in.
Are we allowed to? Can we say?
We can talk about it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's gonna be time.
okay.
It doesn't mean anything to
I
anyone.
don't know. I don't know if they can know.
Yeah. So,
all right. Tell them, Prav.
Yeah,
Tell 'em what's up.
we're under contract. I think I already told them this. Didn't I?
Oh, okay.
Did I? Ever?
Yeah.
I thought it was under
Yeah.
secret.
It's not a secret.
We can. Okay. Yeah. We can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, we're under contract. We got the house appraised. The appraisal came through. It was all good. So we pretty much have 2 weeks until we close. Crossing our fingers, hoping nothing goes bad.
What could go bad?
What could go bad? Honestly, I don't know. Like the house blows up or something. Yeah. I don't know.
That could always happen,
It's
though.
insane.
There's a giant propane tank outside.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's nice to know for when we move in.
Yeah. That's always nice to know.
Yeah.
No, it's safe. It's safe.
I don't know. Anything can happen. That's my mindset. So until
You can't live your life fearing the most obscure.
I don't fear it, but I don't count my chickens before the eggs have hatched. You know.
Yeah, but there's
You don't
only,
count them under one roof, is what you're trying to say.
There's only
Yeah.
so many chickens you can count. You know.
Yeah.
Like I could go outside and be like, you know, I might get murdered by this random homeless person on the side of the road.
Potentially.
But living life like that would be exhausting.
Yeah. Absolutely. But all I want to say is that this house, it's under contract. We haven't closed on it yet. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Closing is in 2 weeks. Everything's going well though, so it should
Yeah.
work out, right?
You can't mow all the grass.
What? Like literally or figuratively?
Huh? How do you figuratively mow grass?
Wait, what do you mean we can't mow all the
metaphorically.
grass?
That's just a saying.
Really?
You never heard that?
No.
What does that mean?
Like you can't, like a lawnmower.
Yeah.
You just can't mow all the grass.
What do you mean? Yes, you can.
You can mow all the grass?
Yeah, we mow it every week. What do you mean?
No, like all the grass.
Every blade of
Like-
grass?
Every blade of grass.
Oh, every blade of grass.
I mean, maybe you could.
How?
By mowing every blade of grass.
Well, maybe not
How
like
can you do
every blade.
What if I spent all day, I got some scissors, and I just went around the yard and I clipped grass?
that? No,
with
I'm
my
talking
scissors?
about all the grass.
Oh, like in the world?
in the world.
Oh, in the
Oh.
world.
Where do you think that came from?
Excuse me, but we don't need to. We just need to mow our lawn.
I know, it's just an expression.
I'm
You
just
can't mow all the
investigating-
grass in
point?
the...
I'm
What's
just
the point of the
investigating your
expression?
expression.
You've never heard of it?
No.
Oh my god, dude.
I mean, I've heard that grass is greener on the other side. I've heard that.
Yeah.
That's a grass-related metaphor.
That's a Tom Jones song.
Grass is greener on the other side? Or you can't mow all
You know,
the grass?
green grass of home. Tom Jones. Green,
What's the
green
point
grass.
of you can't mow all the grass?
Like you can't be a
You
perfectionist.
can't mow all
You
the
can't
grass.
you can't
It's
worry
not
about
possible.
everyone or everything.
I don't know who made that
Yeah.
phrase up. It could have been just been me on the die or whatever.
I
you know?
don't think that's what I
That could not.
That's probably
It's
what
probably
it
not
was.
even a saying. You know what I'm saying?
Caleb just whipped it up straight from the dome. Can't mow all the grass, bro.
No, you can't. You cannot.
That's sticking. by
I've
the
tried.
way. That and subliminal is sticking.
Subliminal.
I don't understand how subliminal is controversial.
But yeah,
Do you guys do you want to reflect on the 9/11 memorial?
I wasn't there.
Oh fuck, that's right. Well, I wanted to reflect on it.
Okay,
If you want to
reflect.
speak on it, we can listen.
Speak your mind.
Okay. I think
We saw a 9/11 memorial at Croninville.
Yeah, we did. That was so fucked.
That was really bad.
There was this piece, we heard that there was a sculpture at Crotonville, so Prabhav and I went on a walk in our free time, and we were walking on this trail to try and find the sculpture, and we look up ahead, and there's this bent piece of metal. And we're like, what the fuck is that? Like, that is so ugly. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, who thinks that looks good? Who made that shit?
Yeah, and I was literally like, that literally looks like a fucking building, like steel beam that's just fucking rusted.
Yeah.
Like, it's all bent up and shit.
So then we get closer to it and we read the placard in front of the thing, and it was, this beam was part of the North Building during 9/11, like in the impact zone.
That's crazy.
And donated
What
by like the
fuck
fire
is this?
department.
This is so ugly. Yeah, at the memorial there was a beam, and they were like, this is the impact point. But yeah, it was crazy. I think you know, they built another oh my god, World Trade Center
Yeah,
called the Freedom Building.
yeah.
Really?
It's like right next door to the other two. It's like the most American thing ever. It's bigger than the other two, I think. Like one of the tallest buildings on the skyline.
Yeah.
America.
And they're having trouble getting people to work there, which makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But it's just the most American shit to, like, right next to the place of the original attack, be like, I fucking dare you. You know, let's just put up a big, like, try and shoot me or, you know, sign.
God damn.
What if we had like turrets on top of buildings?
Turrets?
Turrets?
Yeah.
Turns?
Turrets?
Turrets.
Turrets?
Turrets.
Turrets?
You know when you're like shooting
Like
a
the
gun, a big gun.
Turrets.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Turrets.
Yeah.
Turrets.
Yeah, just in case.
Wait, why
On
did
every
you...
building.
I said turrets and you weren't like, yeah, you just said your thing again.
I've been playing too much video games.
Like anti-aircraft turrets
Yeah.
on top of skyscrapers.
Supreme Commander 2. Comment below if you ever played it.
Supreme, is that on the App Store?
Huh?
I feel like that's one of those ads you get when you're like on Candy Crush or whatever, and you
One of those
finish
crappy
a
mobile
level.
games.
Yeah, and you look at it and you're just like, how does anyone over the age of 4
Yeah, yeah.
ever download?
And they have
these
like an
apps?
awesome trailer, and then you start playing the game, and it's like a
It's
card
just
game,
awful.
and
Yeah.
you're like, what? How are people playing this? It's a card game.
So back to your reflection.
Yeah, I want to
Sorry
hear.
to distract.
I want to
No, it's
hear
good.
this reflecting.
I thought how they did it is actually really, really cool. So you have those 2 reflection pools, right? Which are literally at the foundation of the original building. So there are these big pools that go deep into the ground, and it's kind of a fountain. The water like flows into the bottom. Then you actually go into the memorial, into the museum, and you can see the outline of the reflection pools, which is literally where the buildings were. You get to the bottom and you can see the base. They never removed the base. I guess concrete, you know, platform. So you can walk around that.
How big is it?
It's kind of like, think of Dune. Dune, yeah, jeez.
The movie?
Yeah, you know how everything's really grand and stately and everything's big, you know, concrete and steel. That's what it's like.
You talking about a building from Dune?
I'm just talking about the kind of vibe of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Everything's just grand and kind of awe-inspiring. And you get down there. I was honestly, like, I was kind of overwhelmed with emotions when I was down there. Because it's just, the thing that struck me was it was just such a waste.
What, the destruction
So
of the buildings?
senseless.
Oh, yeah.
Just the entire thing. I mean, the destruction of the buildings, the murder of 2,600 people, and just for what?
Yeah, nothing was gained.
Yeah, and then you look at the terrorists. You know, they got the pictures of the terrorists right there.
They do in the museum?
Really?
Yeah,
The pictures of them?
yeah.
Damn.
And so it was, I think, 20 total, 16 or 20, and they just look like normal people, normal average Joes that you would see on the street. You were expecting to see some evil ass looking guys, and it's just like
Just normal people.
just normal people. And there had actually been a bomb that was planted on the World Trade Center in like 1996.
Yeah.
And it exploded and killed like 5 or 6 people. The guy got arrested, and he was like, if you call this terrorism, then like I'm a terrorist, essentially. But
Really?
the whole thing is, there is roots of it with, I think it's, I don't know if it's Afghanistan. It's wherever Al-Qaeda is. I don't know if it's Saudi Arabia.
Wasn't that Afghanistan?
I think it's Afghanistan, I'm not sure. But there's the kind of the power struggle between Russia and the U.S. and us deploying forces, and Al-Qaeda essentially declared war on the U.S. when we were there. And it's just anything United States, like, we're going to try and destroy. Any U.S. citizen we're going to try and kill.
Wow.
How foolish.
It is foolish, because it's like, okay, you can be angry at the U.S. government because, you know, being a occupied territories, like, that's a very, you know, that's awful for whatever the territory is, you know, losing your national sovereignty. But you can't misplace that anger on the people. And then also you have the whole Islamic fundamentalist ideology behind that as well, which is scary and awful and
Right.
responsible for almost all of the Islamophobia that we see today.
Mm-hmm.
I was in there, and I was just like, I get where all the Islamophobia comes from. It comes from this shit.
Yeah, that was the start of it.
That was the start
Well,
of
yeah,
it.
especially when you're during that, alive during that time.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom's friend lived in Hoboken, New York, which is just south of New York, and she said after the attacks, everyone was so united because you have a common enemy.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah, that's interesting.
surreal. So I've been to Auschwitz and Dachau, and I had more of a visceral gut reaction to the 9/11 memorial than I did to the concentration camps. And it might have been that I was just in shock at the concentration camps, or it also could have been that it was much more removed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It would have been my great-great-grandparents as opposed to my parents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was...
Also, it's your country.
Yeah, it's an American thing.
That might be it too, yeah. But I was, like, choking up consistently throughout it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It was just, what a waste. What an absolute waste of life.
Yeah.
Because from my perspective, that's all you got. And murder-suicide?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just backwards. Absolute tragedy.
Oh, my God. Yeah, it's just, how can we get to this point?
It just makes you mad.
Ever. It makes me mad and sad. Like, I felt infuriated when I was there, and just sad too. Like, I'm anti-death penalty, except for, like, in those situations. Like, in that, I was like, holy shit, this is the only time that... Not the only time, but one of the few times where I'm like, this person deserves...
Really?
Like, I don't even know. Like,
why are you anti-death penalty? Like, what constitutes the death penalty?
Capital punishment.
I mean, like, what do you have to do?
Oh, what's
Murder
my
law?
line?
What's the line?
I think it's just killing people.
The death penalty?
I don't
Yeah.
think.
But you're anti it, right?
I don't know. I don't know what I am.
You haven't thought about it.
I
too
think it's
much?
very like you got to take it by a case
Depends.
basis. But I think if we can be 100% certain that this person's guilty, perhaps it's okay. But I think the government is so fallible and makes mistakes when it comes to that type of thing so often that's not a power or an ability that I want the government to have.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I'm 100% positive that there have been people who have received the death penalty that have been innocent in the history of the United States.
People will die innocently.
And in the future, that will happen as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And is that enough of a deterrent? Are we weighing that as more valuable than justice and retribution for the people who have actually done heinous acts and
Yeah.
things that deserve death?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm kind of a position of anti as well for the most part, especially for like domestic civilians, right? Just for the sake of like the idea that incarceration is supposed to be correction, and perhaps you're never released from incarceration, but there still is always the potential for someone to change, to extinguish that based off of someone's actions, no matter how morbid. I think it's pretty criminal, especially coming from a government's point of view. Like, why are you permitting your government to kill? To incarcerate is something for it's to remove that person from damaging the greater society, and sometimes is necessary. But to kill, we already have the institutions in place to securely incarcerate someone. We don't need to kill.
I just think the argument that you can make is for justice's sake.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if
That's
you
why
kill
you give
someone,
the government the power.
you kill someone, and I feel like you give your right to be alive.
I agree with that, like fundamentally in the human interaction level. Like, if someone killed my family member, like, I would think I had the right to kill that person.
Yeah. Or
You
they,
know?
you know,
Yeah,
lose
like-
the right to be alive because
Yeah.
they killed your family.
Yeah, but I also think, like, the greatest justice served is the destruction of that identity that was there in that person. And the way you destroy that identity isn't by killing it. You destroy that identity by converting it into something that wasn't even there in the first place. Like, the greatest justice is for that person to feel genuine remorse. If you can accomplish that, that's like, you've changed that person forever.
Do you think that's idealistic? How
It
often
is.
does
But
that
why does it
actually
Yeah, it's
occur?
idealistic. It's totally idealistic.
And I would almost say, like, I don't think that's a great enough punishment.
Yeah.
I don't think you feeling an unbelievable amount of guilt would okay, you know, everyone takes the extreme examples in this, right? If I take the people who committed those awful acts, 9/11, even if I could say, okay, this person is gonna regret what they did and feel remorse, I don't think that's enough.
I mean, those are foreign nationals, though. I kind of think of them as differently.
Why is there any difference between a foreign national and a domestic
If we-
citizen
if we
in terms
take it-
of moral or
I'm kind of thinking on a different level. Like, I think on a fundamental human level, right? Like, I think the right to kill between humans actually sometimes comes into play. Like, for example, in a self-defense move, or let's say there's no government. Let's say we're
right? Yeah, that's fine.
like 1,000 years ago. Let's say I live in the wild country, right? Like, if there was self-defense, I would kill, right?
Yeah, and
Or-
even now, I think there's a
Yeah.
right to kill at
Exactly.
certain points in time under specific circumstances.
Right. Now, if I bring in like a government overlay, right, and a policing force, right, and a justice system, right, on top of everything, I just think that we're in a position where we're so powerful and we have enough resources to where killing isn't a necessity to remove the person from causing further harm and then from actually enacting justice. Like, is justice equivalent punishment to the damage created? Is that what justice is? But on another token,
What do you think? No or yes?
that's what I think about that. That's in terms of limiting government force on national citizens as well. Because I
Right.
think to enable our government to allow it to kill is a step too far for nationals, for citizens, just for established rights that we have. But for foreign nationals, where national security is at risk, like, they're not at play in terms of our government's care, right? And so
Yeah,
killing...
but I think where we would differ there is just that once you commit that crime, you lose those rights.
Yeah. And
If you're going to commit an act that's bestial,
Yeah.
then that's where you lay.
Yeah. That's what happens. I mean, that's how we think about things right now. But, you know, like...
Like, I think you forfeit those rights there. And
I would rather incarcerate someone for their whole life than kill them.
generally, I would.
Why? But that's taking up resources.
It is taking up
Taxpayer
resources. That is true.
For what? They're just gonna die anyways.
They are.
I've heard the anti-argument against that is that the actual act of execution is more expensive than
Really?
someone living the rest of their life in prison.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. I could be wrong.
To be honest, I think that's a deeper punishment. Like, some people don't even deserve death. Like, they deserve to never be able to see light again, to be incarcerated for the rest of their lives,
Yeah.
and to be drilled for the rest of their lives about how wrong they were, and to be reminded daily. And they have to live with
Yeah.
that
No, that's
until
a good
they
point.
die. And that's it. That's their life now. Like, I would rather have that than to kill someone, in terms of, like, an institutional sense, you know?
Uh-huh. But would you say maybe maybe that refrains people from doing such acts when they know that,
They won't die.
yeah, they won't die, they'll just sit
Perhaps.
for
I
prison
never.
and rot.
I just never thought that was a good argument. People always bring that up, but
How come?
because people don't think about the consequences of their crime when they're committing a crime. I don't think.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. Someone who's selling
I don't
drugs is not like, I could get 40 years, or I could get 20 years, right?
Yeah,
For
but
getting
I
caught
could get
here.
40 years or I could get shot in the head.
Yeah. I just don't think criminals are thinking that deeply about.
I think
Potential
they are.
consequences.
It's like,
When
oh,
no one-
I'm going to jail or I'm dying. That's a big difference.
Do you think people even know that?
Yeah. You're not going to die from dealing drugs.
Like, to be honest, dude, like, I don't even know if North Carolina has the death penalty or not.
Yeah. Do some states not have death penalties?
Yeah, most states don't.
Yeah.
The only ones that have death penalties still are southern states. One of the best examples that is anti-death penalty that I've heard is that essentially the death penalty execution has been used as political leverage. So there was this one guy, I forget what his name was, but black guy in the 90s, I think, had very, very severe mental illness. I think murdered someone, but after he murdered someone, they lobotomized him. So they cut apart the left and the right hemispheres of his brain, and he was almost brain dead. You know, he had the mental capacity of a 7 or an 8-year-old.
Wow.
But it was at the time of Bill Clinton's re-election or election campaign. I don't remember which. Was Bill Clinton re-elected? Was he 8 years or 4?
I don't remember.
It doesn't matter. The point is the same, but you could see there was re-election or his election campaign, and the hot topic, or one of the hot topics, was the death penalty, and he was pro death penalty.
Bill Clinton?
Yeah, and he was trying to rally that base behind him who were pro death penalty. So this guy is pretty much, he's not there mentally.
Okay.
But Bill Clinton needs to rally his support. So he flies down to Georgia, I think that's where this guy's staying, and expedites the guy's execution. It would have been years into the future. But he's using this as a political tool.
This lobotomized guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's using this as a political tool to gain support.
What, to show that he accomplished execution?
Yeah, because it was a big deal at the time to use it as a political tool.
Oh my goodness.
Flies down, oversees, and this guy's a minor criminal. Like, yeah, he did commit murder, but he's not a national figure, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not in terms of like he didn't do something bad. I mean that in terms of he is not famous.
Yeah.
It's just something that
Okay.
happened.
Yeah.
He was just someone on death row.
Uh-huh.
He was so simple-minded at the time of his death that for his last meal he had a slice of pie, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna save this for later."
Oh, damn.
He didn't even know he was
Wow.
gonna die.
Damn.
Oh my gosh.
So Bill Clinton goes down and he oversees the murder or execution of this guy and
Yeah.
flies back up. So
Yeah.
that's just a big deterrent, is the state being what it is, and
Yep.
the motivations lying in the positions that they do.
People using it.
Will use it as
See,
a tool.
That's what plays into my point. Like I was talking about how I don't want any government to have the power to kill citizens. Like the justice system shouldn't have the power. It's
Mhm.
based off of the, like, exactly what you're saying. Like, it's a great example because that's fucked.
Yeah. There's this book I read a while back. It's called The Ox-Bow Incident, and it's related to the justice system. Maybe you guys will have takes on it, but essentially what happens is they are out in the West, right? And they're cattle drivers. And one night, this one guy, I don't know what his name was, I call him Joe, had gotten in an argument with another guy, Bill. And Bill goes out and he's doing his cattle driving during the day, the next day. And then he doesn't show back up. And I guess, murder or crime was like pretty rampant at that point, and there was no set institution of law. It's in the West. So all the men, all the cattle drivers, I don't know, 20, 30 of them, they rally together and they're like, Bill's dead. Like, he's gone because he didn't come back today. And they make the assumption that Joe killed him because Joe had threatened to kill him the day before. So then they take Joe and they have this whole, essentially, lynching trial where it's like a makeshift trial. So Joe presents his side of the story, and all the men rally together and they make their judgment. And the person who was on Joe's side was like, guys, we don't have enough information right now. This is, Bill's been gone a day. He could come back. But the men, it's kind of like mob mentality, right?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we're going to kill Joe because he killed Bill.
Hmm.
So they hang him that night. And afterwards, everyone's just like, doesn't understand the gravity of what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
But they're, it was just, right? Because this guy committed murder. And then Bill comes back the next day and he'd gotten stuck out on the range and wasn't even dead.
Yeah. What is this story from?
It's called the Ox-Bow Incident.
Oh, this is a real story?
Yeah, I read it when I was a lot younger. I know it's not. It's fiction.
Yeah.
But are you comparing this to like nowadays?
Yeah, the death penalty and accidental execution.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm
the
really
justice
comparing
of
it to.
it?
It just reminded me of that.
I mean, it's a good story, but I feel like we're a lot farther now,
Well, no, that's food for thought though, because we've had trials where people are wrongly accused, convicted, and then
Yeah.
perhaps wrongly executed. At least with life incarceration, there's always that potential for change or for re-examination, right? That always exists.
Mm.
But with death is ultimate. There's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about human error in determining guilt. That's definitely real. I mean, we're the arbiters of justice, right? Citizens and the justice system. We don't have a perfect arbiter.
Right, and that's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah.
So if we did, would you be pro or anti?
If I had a perfect arbiter, it's up to them. Whatever they want to do.
Okay, come on. But, you know what I mean? Okay, maybe I'm not saying arbiter. I'm saying if you had, with 100% certainty, that this person did it or this person didn't do it, they're guilty or not guilty, 100% certain. Because that's my biggest fear, is that people will be not guilty.
Even with the certainty of their guilt, I still would not want the death penalty for U.S. citizens. Now let's forget the whole government incompetence and wrongly conviction. Still, I still believe in the greater punishment is life incarceration, and incarceration should include. Now we're talking about ideals. We're talking about like shoulds, and this is all very idealistic. Incarceration should include correctional programs, right? So it's not just about shunning you from society and holding you there and letting that become a space of just insanity, which it sometimes is with criminals and all the evil things that happen in the prison, but also just a space of like almost programming in a way, like
understanding
like
why
you gotta
wrong.
figure out like what's wrong with you, and you
I
gotta
like that
understand
point
that, you know.
more than anything, honestly.
Yeah, so you're obliged to examine yourself every day for the rest of your life, to truly understand.
What about
it.
the person
who can't?
They go to prison and they are always like the guy that put the bomb underneath the World Trade Center. If that's what you call a terrorist, then I'm a terrorist and I'm happy to be a terrorist. And he's happy to be a terrorist until he dies.
Was he a citizen?
No.
Yeah, then.
I just don't see a distinction between domestic terrorists and foreign national terrorists.
I think citizens are obliged to certain rights, of which I'm opposing currently, in terms of
I
like.
just think it's, for me, human rights as opposed to.
If we take it to a human right level, like a human fundamental right level with zero governmental, like need to comply to government, then where is death justifiable, right? Like on an individual human level.
Well, that's the point that I think is, you know, you give up your human rights when you commit an action like that.
Certainly, I mean.
But
it's difficult to say, like, it's difficult to establish human rights on a universal level without some sort of societal agreement or connection. Because, like, when I say, like, with a nation or with a government, is that we've agreed to a set of accords, we agree to a set law and a set standard.
Right?
But when I bring that to the whole earth, right, and I include everyone as fundamental humans, then you go into the realm of religiousness, right? Because this is external to human creation, right?
Rights?
I think so. In terms of like God-given rights, that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, but I don't know. For you to have those standards, they don't necessarily have to be God-given. They can be human-given.
Okay,
Human-made.
if we make it human-given, then we have some human institution at play.
Yeah.
So what's the human institution at play for the world? Like the UN?
Yeah. I mean, that would be the argument, is that's your ultimate regulating
So that's
agency.
that's the baseline foundational thing. So is that agreed upon by everyone? And if so, then like is death or like killing like allowed within the UN? Like what, I don't know what the UN rights are for all of humans.
Yeah, I don't know what they are either,
But say the UN didn't exist. Like let's take us to the level of like before any institution has been created. Like there's no human institution created. Like what are the rights for a person?
I don't think they exist at that point.
I don't think so. They do either. They have to be like something external to anything human created. And so you can go. Let's forget the God route because like let's not explore that.
Yeah.
Because that can't even be agreed upon between inner people, right?
Yeah, and you can also, the rights given to people by one God are completely different than the rights given to people by another God.
So at that point, like that's the Wild West picture we have. Like you can kill someone right in their shoes, and that's how life goes.
Yeah, nasty Brutus, in short.
Yeah. Is that from something?
Yeah, Hobbes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's one of the early egoist philosophers. Essentially, I don't have any reason to be moral other than the institutions that are more powerful than me will punish me if I don't.
Right. Practically.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then the generation of rights, there's different theories for it, but one of which can be, I want to cooperate with you because our interests align and we can mutually benefit each other in cooperating
justice
with you,
for.
let's come up with an agreed standard of our interactions so that we can actually function.
Right.
Those agreed standards should be we don't kill each other, you know, and we don't fucking steal each other's wives, and we don't steal from each other, and those are the baselines, okay?
Right.
Let's agree upon that. Boom. Let's start progressing and building things. Now, let's say one of us breaches our contract. Then that idea that you mentioned
Is gone.
is gone. You lose all rights, and you're fucking in the wild now, and you're nothing, and I can kill you. So that's I can understand that completely.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the closer picture of where my view of rights comes from.
Yeah.
Is convenient concepts that we use in order to help the human race to flourish.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any fundamental backing to it other than, you know, pacts or agreements that we come to on an individual basis and on a separate, you know, nation basis with other countries.
Yep. Agreed. Now back to that idea. Like, okay, let's say we had that agreement. One of us breaks it. You lose your rights. Now let's say I'm so powerful that I don't even need to kill you to stop you from doing what you do. Like, I could throw you into this system, into this box, and I can keep you there, I can feed you, I can do everything. It's cheap for me, it's easy for me, and I can even, like, bring in programming so that, like, I can even show you how you fucked up, and I can teach you that, and I can just keep you there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a fucking punishment and a half, you know? And that's kind of where I stand with, like, the U.S. government and United States death penalty. Like, that's kind of my position with it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My fear is that you can be in that situation and find enjoyment.
I'm sure there's some sadistic ass people like in prisons, like prison guards or
And in that case, I feel as if justice has not been served. From your perspective, I agree, right? If I can take Jeffrey Dahmer, put him in a prison cell, and change him to someone who understands morality and why you should treat others with respect, you know, all those great things.
Yeah.
And he realizes the severity of his actions and how he's acted in, you know, such a heinous fashion. Yeah, that's great. I think that's a terrible punishment, psychologically speaking.
Yeah.
But I think for every one person like that, you have two people who don't really give a shit.
So with those people that don't give a shit, did we kill them or did we just like confine them forever?
I don't know.
Provides more of the safer option. Like, no one's gonna.
That's true, and I'm just
die
playing devil's
innocent.
advocate here. I don't think I'm pro-death penalty.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Provad makes a compelling argument here. Like, at least no one innocent will die
Yeah.
in the death penalty.
But I see these people who have committed these actions, and I want retribution, and I want...
I also think it's a reflection on our character. Like, why does retribution have to be death? Like, why can't it be, like, conversion? Or, like, why do we need to have, like, our satiated by death? Like,
well,
why is that justice?
It's the thought that they're just sitting there watching TV.
It can't be
They
that.
killed your family.
It can't be that.
Just sitting there for years and years and years, just
No,
chilling.
they need to be meditating for fucking years and years and years. Like, that's what I would
But they're
demand.
not
you know?
forced to meditate.
I know what I mean, but, like, not entertained, but I mean, they have to sit in a confined room by themselves and think for the rest of their lives, you know? That's kind of where I'm going with it. I know about the idea of just, like, they have a buy. Like, that's not agreeable at all, yeah.
But you can be totally fine just sitting in a U.S. prison.
Yeah.
It's also U.S. prison. It's not as bad as, like, Indonesia. You know?
Yeah, but it's not a fucking cakewalk. Like, have you seen the
Yeah,
mega prisons?
No, yeah. I'm not saying it's, like, easy, but...
There's, like, these people on life in prison, like, absolute, like, maximum security. They get 1 hour outside the whole day. Their hands are shackled behind them. They're allowed to walk in, like, a fucking 12 by, like, or whatever, 20 by 20 foot courtyard. It's just concrete all alongside them.
All you can see is sky.
Yeah, that's all you can see. And then you go back into your shitty cell. Your toilet is connected to your sink. You have a slab of a bed. You have no entertainment devices. You can paint or, like, such. I think, like, if I give them the ability to express themselves, like as hard as it sounds, like, say someone killed my brother, like, firstly, I would want to kill them, like, just as an individual, right? But if I couldn't accomplish that, like, kind of the Hobbes thinking, I'm underneath this government,
Yeah,
You know, like the government says, "Yo, we're enlightened," you know. We won't kill him. We're gonna throw him in a prison cell for the rest of his life. We're gonna make him like fucking reflect, and we're gonna make him like express himself. I'll be like, okay, that, whatever. I would probably visit that guy, you know, often.
Really?
I probably would. I'd be like, you killed my brother. What's going on with you, you know?
Mhm.
And if he's just a shithead, like, I don't know. Would death satiate me though? You know?
No,
I don't know.
but neither would prison, I don't think. Because then you'd be thinking that he's just...
It's just
chilling.
the potential for him to change. That's what I'm interested in.
But what
Just-
if he doesn't?
If he doesn't, then he doesn't. He dies. Like everyone else.
But you're just changing when he's gonna die.
So, that's not bad, is it?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter in the long term.
I mean,
gonna
ultimately,
die.
like, ultimately he dies, but at least he has the potential to change. That's kind of what I'm going for. He has the potential to change. That's it. If he never
I just don't know
accomplishes
how much
that
value
potential,
I put into that potential. And I
I
feel
would,
like we're
as an
dancing-
individual, I would never. As an individual, I would never be, like, if someone killed my brother as an individual, you think I would ever permit him to live? You know?
Yeah. No.
Like, that would insult me so deeply, right?
hmm
So
But with this justice system, this governmental compliance, and the police force we have, right? And me apportioning my executive abilities to this greater system, like for them to actually handle him in a fashion that allows him to have the potential to change with life incarceration, I will probably never be satisfied. Even if I did kill him, I mean, nothing could fulfill that
Yeah.
loss, you know,
No, I
ultimately. But I side on the idea of giving him the potential to change with life incarceration, even if he ultimately never does, rather than giving my government the power or the ability to kill him, which to me, once he's already in the hands of the government, like, that doesn't even matter to me anymore, you know?
hmm
That's how I think about it.
do you
Yeah.
think the power really lies in the hands of the government?
I mean, yeah.
I think it more lies with your peers.
What does that mean?
It's a jury. Like a jury is not.
a jury appears,
Yeah.
but the sentencing is done by the judge. It's just the peers dictate if
Don't
he's
they
guilty.
have to vote the death penalty as well?
Really? I have no
I
idea.
thought they had to do one for guilty, and then the jury returns and they debate again for the death penalty.
Well, then this is a conversation I suppose I'd be having with my peers, you know? Like, I would be
Right.
talking to them about this and saying, like,
But my point just being, if that's the case, then you would make the argument, and I guess the peers are technically your government in that case.
right.
But I would rather leave it up to individuals than to an institution.
Yeah.
If that, like, I mean, the whole Bill Clinton thing, that's an institutional thing.
Right.
I think. Like, yes, of course, Bill Clinton was the one who was pushing for his death. But at the end of the day, it's because of the institution and the freedom and where the motivation lies for people who are within that institution that he acted in such a way. However, if it's a jury of 10 people who have no skin in the game, professionally or politically speaking, I would trust that more.
Yeah.
Not saying that I would trust that completely,
hmm
based on my story from the Oxbow incident, right? That book I was talking to you guys about.
Yeah.
Okay, what if one of your loved ones gets murdered and they get off free?
I would probably be vindictive and revengeful.
And I would think...
What would you do? Like I'm asking, what would you do in that situation?
I don't know. I mean...
All right, think about it. Someone kills your brother and gets off scot-free. They didn't have enough evidence, but you know he did it. What do you do?
I don't think I can really do anything.
You wouldn't, like,
Would I kill? No.
go and kill him?
No. That would ruin my own life as
Uh-huh.
well.
I mean, I'd want to kill him. I'd probably try to find a way to do it, to be honest. I'm not even lying right now. Like, I would try it. Like, something like that happened. But, you know, to bring up another point, you know, I talk about, like, ideals and such. Like, I think another thing I think that will help clarify this is that when I talk about the government, I talk about, like, law. I talk about rights. And I talk about ideals. And when I talk about myself, when I say, like, oh, you know, if someone killed my brother, I would go after him. I talk about my heart. I talk about my feelings. And I talk about my intentions and where I stand. And I think one thing that's also important with establishing the death penalty for criminals is, like, especially if it's something that's close to home and it's something that's based on the government is executing this is something based off of ideals and laws and rights. Like, what about the own treacherousness of my own heart? Like, why do I require death, like, to be satisfied, for there to be justice? Like, why does
Didn't
my heart
God
require
death to be satisfied?
He did. But why do I require, like, why do I need to see this man die for me to be okay? You know, like, I just think about, like, forgiveness, and I think about establishing forgiveness or establishing some degree of grace, you know, and I find that if I can execute that rather than executing, like, condemning, instead of executing him, then that's something that's just more graceful.
So in a perfect world, you would forgive him?
Like, what would Jesus do?
Fair enough. But that's your route you would go for.
That's another frame
That's
of mind and another
perfect
line of
route.
thinking.
I think that's just a value judgment of grace, mercy, compassion over justice.
Yeah. But, yeah, it is.
And I don't know if there's really much backing to that one way or the other.
Well, this is very, like, that's...
Like, you know how we always talk about intuitions, and we have these intuitions that oftentimes you can't logic.
Yeah.
I think that's one of them.
Yeah, it's not a logical framework I'm basing this off of. It's very, it's just another argument, right? It's something that's just generated. Because I just feel convicted to kill. Don't you feel convicted to kill?
Yeah, I do.
What do you mean convicted to kill?
In that, like, you
wrong-
have your heart,
wrong for
you
a
feel
wrong.
like this is something that's not right.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah.
You know, especially if this person is in shackles, he's submitted, it's over. There's nothing that can happen. There's no way this person can go, how am I going to be like, fucking kill him, bro? Fuck this dude. He deserves it. Like, there's something, I don't know, I feel something that's wrong about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't we just throw him away forever and try to fix him? You know, that's what I kind of, like, that's
But
my
if he's
response.
free...
Oh, but if he's free... Okay, but then that goes to the personal thing, right? I'm talking about ideals here, and I'm talking about the things in my heart that feel wrong. But now I just wanted to frame that, right? So that was the argument prior. Now we talk about personal. Like, what would I actually do? When I think about my feelings are going to barge against all my ideals, like, you know? And it's like, that deeply offends me if someone fucking kills my brother. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm whipping that. I'm fucking going after that dude.
I
Like,
just don't understand the distinction between that person being free and
already captured.
or already captured.
Because he's not in my hands anymore, you know? And then the
but don't
ideals
you
come into play.
I mean, ideally, you should have a say in that, right? The people most hurt by that person's actions should have a say in their conviction, but they don't.
So what's your say then?
You
I
don't
know.
really have
I
much
think
of
this is,
one,
I'm
other than
confusing
a
the
plea.
point a bit.
So you're just
I
letting
think
it
I'm
go?
confusing it. Because I'm talking about, I think this is, like, I don't make it in terms of a logical dichotomy of, like, he's in my hands versus he's not in my hands. Think about it in terms of my personal instincts and feelings versus the ideals I want to set up for a society, right?
Yeah.
Those two things argue with each other and conflict, especially when things become personal.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
the best example
Yeah.
of that is, would you kill your own child to save 100,
Hell no.
right?
Yeah. But, like, that's what I'm talking about. If someone kill that's where the mindset is going. If someone kill my brother, I'm fucking going after that dude. Like, I'm not thinking, you know?
Yeah.
And I would, like, try to scheme a way to fucking blast his ass, like, out in the Wild West, like in some desert, like, I'll cap his ass, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not
for sure,
thinking,
For sure.
you know? But when I'm, like, sitting here rationally, I'm thinking about the laws. I'm thinking about, should we have a death penalty in the United States? And I'm thinking, like, rationally and logically. I'm bringing in all these value arguments. I'm bringing in these ideals. I'm bringing in this religious backing I have. I'm like, no, I don't think so, you know?
But I'm asking, what would you actually do if someone
He would
killed your
kill him.
brother and
Yes.
you would kill him?
I would try to.
You would at least try.
I would try to
But you're
beat
saying,
the shit out of him.
You're saying you wouldn't.
No.
Okay, let me
But
give you
that's-
this. Let me give you this
Okay, but
hypothetical.
I think me personally, I don't think I could do that. Like, I don't think I have it within me.
Really? If someone kills
I don't
your
know,
loved
man.
one,
It's such a hypothetical. I
yeah,
have no
it's
idea
super
how I would
hypothetical. You would
react.
never know. You would never know how you would react.
yeah.
It's such an insane thing. Okay, let me give you another theoretical. And this might make things easier because it's legal, okay? Say you have a daughter, right? She's like 12 years old, right?
Mhm.
And you're at home, and a man barges into your home, right?
Mhm.
And tries to kidnap her, right?
Yeah.
How would you react? What would you do?
I kill him.
Yeah, you would fucking pull out your shotty and blast his ass, right?
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't even think twice. Like, you see him going for your daughter.
But that's legal, right? He's on
Yeah,
your
he's on-
property.
Yeah, it's totally legal. Like, would you do that?
100%.
Like, kill his ass? Yeah.
Well, the alternative is he takes her, but it's illegal, you know? But when it's
Yeah.
not legal, that's what
Okay,
I'm
let me
most
give you another
interested in.
hypothetical. Say your daughter gets, like, raped or something, right? She's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
kid. And you realize about this, like, 3 days later after it happens, right?
Mhm.
What would you do?
I'd kill him.
And you know exactly where he lives. Like, what would you do? Would you go up to his house and blast his ass? I probably
No.
wouldn't.
No,
would-
you
yeah.
wouldn't. Yeah. I
Yeah.
personally wouldn't.
Well, you would try and get him arrested.
I
right?
would try to, like, invite him over and then kill him on my property. That's dead ass what I would try to do.
Wait, but what about you have the option to get him arrested?
Yeah, I could do that too.
Well, the problem is, if you get arrested, then you're not there for your daughter.
That's what my
And you
main
can't
point
protect
Yeah,
her
that's
for-
true. That's very true.
If
But-
I go attack this person who killed my brother and kill him, and then I ruin my own life, because the justice system doesn't see things in shades; they see things in black and white. And in that case, this person was, based on the governing rules, they were exonerated and free, and in the eyes of the law, they're completely innocent. And I just murdered an innocent person. I'm gonna end my life.
Let's do this. How about we go to the police, try to get him arrested, and the police doesn't believe anything, and it goes nowhere. Like, he's scot-free. What would you do then?
That's different. Well, it's kind of the same actually.
But would you try to at least kill him and get away with it? Or would you just not even...
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's a really
think
tough
about your
question.
daughter. Like, what...
I don't have a daughter. I don't know.
I know, but like, think about people when they say, "Oh yeah, like, there's nothing I love more than my daughter."
Yeah.
How do you just let that go?
No, you can't just let that go.
So then, what do? That's what I'm asking. You don't have to murder them, but you could like torture them forever. It's actually a good movie with Jared Butler. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
And Jamie Foxx, where Jared Butler just tortures this guy
God damn.
because he killed his wife or whatever,
Damn.
and he gets arrested. It's a crazy movie. It's like a revenge movie.
Yeah.
So you just wouldn't know.
I mean,
Because
I
it's
get,
hypothetical.
like, I like to think in that situation, I think I would be wholly justified to go after the person. And honestly, if I didn't go after the person, I think you could make an argument for it being morally wrong. Like, I think at that point I have a moral obligation to pursue justice.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. I'm asking because you're not religious and you're religious.
Yeah.
So it's a huge difference in terms of, like, religiously, you would be in the wrong if you went and killed that person.
Yeah, I mean,
of
I would,
course.
like, religiously, I already know what I'm supposed to do. I'm
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah,
forgive
you're
him.
supposed to forgive, but in Justin's case, technically, you don't.
Yeah, but
It's up
I'm
to
not
you. It's up to
forgiving
you.
them. I'm just...
Yeah. Sure,
my
sure.
my main deterrence in that situation is naturally how I've been raised. I don't know if I have it within my power to do anything like that. I think I would just be so viscerally disgusted and opposed to it that I don't know if I could do it.
Uh-huh.
The second thing is am I going to just go ahead and ruin my own life and not be there for my daughter? Potentially.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, like I just said, I think I have a moral obligation to pursue some sort of justice and some sort of retribution or vengeance for the suffering that he's inflicted on my child. So I think in that situation, doing nothing is wrong. Now I don't know what exactly I would
so you're gonna
do
do something.
I agree with you. You have to do something. You can't do nothing.
But from your
killing is very extreme.
But getting revenge at all is not in line with your morality.
No, it's not. I mean, it's
So
very
technically
clear.
you
Like,
have
it's very
to-
clear what.
is it
Forgive. But you don't have to.
well you're passing the baton to God to judge for Bob's case, right?
Yeah.
True. So hell is the ultimate punishment.
I guess
or
whatever
it's
God
more so
dictates.
God's place to
Yeah, it's up to God of like whatever He wants to do. But
Yeah.
because that is, as you were talking about earlier, your perfect arbiter, right?
He is,
arbiter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's relevant to like life after life, you know. Like,
but the problem is, and a lot of religious people will do this often, is they'll say, oh yeah, God is, the perfect judge, but you can't use that as an excuse to not make a judgment on this world.
that's true. If God tells me what to do, you know. But anyways, I wanna. Well, it's really difficult to answer that, you know. In terms of like.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to rehash onto the idea of this though. Like, I think there's also that oppression of our government in sense of like you will go to jail if you kill this person, but say you didn't have a government, right? With that enforcement ability, if someone, let's say there's like a police force, right? Let's say there's a very skittish police force. Someone raped your daughter, you report to that skittish police force, they fail in their prosecution or conviction of this person, he goes off scot-free, you know he raped your daughter, you know nothing will happen to you if you do anything to this person, what would you do?
So, this kind of reminds me of the kind of moral, like, system that Aristotle had. So, everything's kind of on a spectrum, and you evaluate things on a case-by-case basis to decide on the best plan of attack for what you're going to do. So, you have these two kind of dichotomies of, for example, bravery and, what's the word?
Cowardice?
No, it's make it into a virtue. Make it into, like,
bravery versus, I don't know,
being calculating, conscientious. I don't know. Let's just say bravery versus conscientiousness. In some situations, being conscientious is the right thing to do, and in others, bravery is the right thing to do. But oftentimes, you want to find that middle ground, but based on whatever situation you're in, think of it as a spectrum. You can sway one way or the other.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I see 300 soldiers in the distance and I'm by myself, and I go run and charge at them with my sword drawn, that would be brash, which is bravery in its worst form. It would be stupid. However, in the situation that we're talking about now, I think if that occurs to my daughter and I don't go and seek some sort of vengeance or retribution, then you would be a coward in that situation.
Yes. I actually completely agree with what you're saying.
I agree as well. I think
it is very case by case.
You at least have to lose your penis. In that case.
Like cut the dude's dick off.
No, I'm completely serious. I think when you think about rape and like the extent, like that person is going to be in therapy for all their life.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't deserve your dick at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, being a sex offender in the U.S. is really pretty good punishment. It's pretty awful.
Yeah. No.
Like on a database.
I mean,
like,
it follows
for the
you
rest
your
of
entire life. You move into a new neighborhood and you have to go knock on doors and tell people
You do?
what you've done.
Oh my goodness. That's good.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah,
For them.
Yeah,
For them.
good for
For them.
everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For us,
You're not allowed like 500 feet within the playground
no,
or like
yeah.
elementary school or something. And like, yeah, man.
Like when you think about like, oh, it's just someone raped someone. No, it's more than that. Like
yeah,
that person has to deal with that for the rest of
it's
that
truly evil.
messes with your mind forever. That's so traumatizing.
Yeah.
It's not just like that day. It's that the rest of your life. You know, it's
Yeah.
messed up because of your couple minute decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yeah, it just ruins lives.
Like I think about like those Catholic priests that like raped a bunch of kids, you know?
yeah.
And then they like got off scot-free because they're so influential. They're like the archdiocese or whatever, like bishops and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're so politically connected.
Or
and like
Jeffrey Epstein. And
Jeffrey Epstein, nothing
Prince
fucking
Andrew.
happened. Yeah.
Mhm.
It took so long for anything to happen.
Did you guys watch that documentary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! It's just a bunch of girls like testifying to all like that hit the nerve with me. It was just like these girls are messed up for the rest of their lives, and it happened when they were like 16.
And do you think they
They're
got
just gone.
justice? Like with him
No.
getting hung in his prison cell, was that justice?
Yeah, there you go. That proves, or not proves, but
You think it would have been better if he would have had years and years to stew
Yes.
over what he had done?
Oh yeah, and then do you know what happens to rapists in prison?
Yeah.
They get fucked.
yeah,
They're dead.
yeah. No,
Like,
they're
they're-
screwed.
They have to get into. They have to be put off of general penitentiary or general population because it's so bad for them. Like he deserves that
At least.
at least.
At least.
And he has to reflect on that shit every day. And like honestly, like it'd be crazy if you can go make visits to him. Like think about like fucking just visiting his ass and being like, you are truly like the scum of the earth. I will hate you for the rest of my life. Like everyone will hate you. Like you will never be remembered. Like just saying that to him and then walking away and going getting ice cream while he has to like sit in prison. You know,
Yeah.
like that would make my day.
Go and get ice cream. Couple of things. So first off, I mean, you can also make the argument that in terms of a worldly perspective,
Mhm.
death is not punishment.
Yeah, that's in a worldly perspective. Yeah,
It's an absence of anything, therefore it's not good or bad,
right,
and it's just taking something away.
right.
Or as being stuck in prison for the rest of your life, being deprived of all of the luxuries and comforts that make life worth living, plus being despised and loathed by the general population and by the prisoners that you inhabit your jail cell with. That's a pretty bad punishment.
Yeah,
It's pretty awful.
that's hell because you're still
Um,
alive and being tortured forever.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said for the flip side, almost the tables turning, and normal everyday people being entranced by this kind of bloodlust. And it is just to a certain extent, but I've seen a lot of people when there's an execution or a death that's going to be taking place for someone who is a truly reprehensible scum of the earth human being,
Mm-hmm. It's just entertainment.
and it's just entertainment. But I think any time you approach that subject, it needs to be done with a level of gravity and understanding and depth of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I remember I saw there was a Ted Bundy documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you watched that.
I didn't watch it, but I know what you're talking about.
But finally, when he got caught, got sentenced to die, and on the day of his execution, people tailgated it.
Oh my god.
They went outside the prison, and they were drinking, and they were making barbecue. They were barbecuing.
Wow.
And there's also just something so gross about
that's
that
backwards,
in my
too.
perspective too.
Yeah.
Not to say that Ted Bundy was a great, good person, or even I wouldn't even consider him human, because I think some of the qualities that I consider to make us human he was lacking, such as empathy. But that is a reversal, and that in its own is just disgusting
Yeah.
to me.
Well, what makes you better than him at that point? You're taking pleasure from death.
Which is exactly what he did.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
That's what I was alluding to when I was talking about the examination of my heart and seeing if death satiates me. If that's the case, then that's so troublesome, right? That's treacherous in my own heart. That's truly evil. Like, if that's what we are, then that's not justice, right? That's just evil from being pleased by death.
Is there
It isn't.
Is there justice then, or is that just a concept that we've come up with and that we're stuck with? That it's kind of the Old Testament.
Yeah. How would you define
That's
justice?
such a hard.
Like, righteous punishment for a wrong action? Is that what justice is? Is punishment something that has to be given?
Yeah.
If is punishment necessary, what does punishment ultimately lead to? Does it lead to reform? Is it a method of reform? Is that what justice is supposed to be?
Or is it an eye for an eye?
If it's an eye for an eye, then that's evil, isn't it?
Right.
Depends on what's evil.
But think about where you get with that mentality. That's so many of the mob wars in New York in the 30s, 40s, right? Were based on that mentality. Is you had these two crime families, and they would get in some sort of fight, and someone would die, and then the family on the side of the person that was killed would go kill someone from the other side, and then back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And by the end, you'd have a couple of people left and their entire families were dead, and they're like, what the hell did we do this for? In pursuit of this ideal that we call justice?
Yeah.
What use of that is for me when it leaves all of those around me dead and me with no loved ones to care for?
Right.
Yeah. But they didn't expect to die in turn to get revenge.
It wasn't foreseen.
That's kind of the point, going back and forth and back and forth. But it's like they took that risk.
Was it eye for an eye justice? Death for a death?
By
wrong
definition,
for a
that's
wrong?
what I think of when I think of justice. It's the balancing of the scale, right?
It's like, you harm me, so I must harm you, and that is righteous.
Yeah. But it's almost like, it seems like a dated idea to me to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's something there is something beautiful about, like, Jesus is the personification of this, is turning the other cheek.
Right.
There is something beautiful in that, but then is there also weakness in it as well?
To forgive debts, to turn the other cheek.
It also sets a precedence of, we're going to turn the other cheek. And people take advantage of it.
Right. Right,
So
that's the whole
another-
thing with, pacifists. People who are pacifists,
Yeah, the practicality of it doesn't really function.
Yeah.
right?
If you don't take revenge, then people can just do whatever they want.
But like with Mahatma Gandhi, with the Indian, I suppose, revolution, like that was the ideal implemented, right? Now, what was the reality of it? Like, why did it succeed? Okay, the British needed a populace to buy their goods, and the critical component was the abstaining of purchasing goods, and also the unallowance of lethal force or extreme force by the British because of the general populace and their perception of how lethal force or excessive force should be used, right? Like when we talk about rioting in America, like we would be appalled if soldiers pulled up and shot everyone down, right? It's not allowable. But you remove that, you remove you bring in the shock of seeing people trampled and pushed down through the use of excessive force by an occupying government, and you remove the consumption of all the produced goods by the British, and then they have no market. They have no market and they have no public support, so they have to pull out, right? So that is pacifism in terms
Of practicality.
of a practicality,
Right.
but it's not in terms of a universal position to be
And
in.
that only works in the current society and the current values that the vast majority of the world has today.
Right.
But if you take me to some South American country that's been cut off from, on the Amazon, been cut off from civilization, that type of tactic is not going to work.
Right.
Because they still resort to a more primitive mindset of us and them. And anyone outside of the tribe is non-human or not deserving of rights.
Right. Yeah, try using pacifism against Putin. Like that doesn't
It's
matter.
not gonna work, right? Yeah.
Try using pacifism against an African warlord or against like Xi Jinping. Like that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Do you think it doesn't?
Against Xi Jinping, like imagine Taiwan allowing. It would rally it. I mean, the greater world is already against China invading Taiwan. It's not about public perception. I mean, domestically, public perception doesn't even matter in China. Like, we are controlled as a democracy. Public perception is everything. Public perception dictates if wars occur or not. But in China, that's dismissed. That it's only the party's interest, right?
Do you think Putin invades Ukraine and they, kiss his feet and say, what you're doing is wrong and awful and da-da-da, this is terrible, but, like, we forgive you and, I don't know, show you compassion or whatever, like,
Maybe.
truly Christ-like, right?
Oh,
Action.
man. If we were all truly Christ-like, then the world would be perfect. But, like, okay, think about it like this. Maybe like this. So, like, you let Putin invade Ukraine. I don't know. Like, there are limits, of course. Like, for example, like the Jews with World War II. Like, I think they were pretty they were pretty agreeable, right? They let themselves get moved into ghettos, right? They wore the Star of David. They were pushed out of their economic positions, right? And they still, like, didn't exit the country. They still retained themselves within the country. Maybe they thought it was temporary. Maybe they thought this was the sway and swing of a political party. But at one point, a switch was turned, and they were literally being loaded onto trains to be killed.
I think the main... This seems like a different case to me than Ukraine, for example, right now.
Yeah, it is a different case.
In that the Jews weren't viewed as human.
Right.
But I think any Russian would say that the Ukrainians, while they have their
Differences.
extreme differences, and hate each other almost, that they're human.
Well, yeah, so let's just put that in one position as like a case, right? The Jewish case. And that's like on the spectrum chart. That's one thing about being a pacifist, in which that failed, right? But let's take a case of like Russia and Ukraine. Like Eastern Ukraine has Russian influence. The languages are pretty similar. The cultures are pretty similar. Like, how important is the Ukrainian identity to the quality of life of a Ukrainian? Like, and to the identity of a Ukrainian. Like, if they were consumed by Russia, right, and they forgave Putin, they said this was wrong, like, what does that lead to in the future, right? Does it complete, like, assimilation, and are they content with that? Like, what's the degree of rebellion that sparks in the hearts of people, like, and how inflamed is that? Is there always going to be friction?
I'm just interested in Putin in that situation.
Oh, in terms of how he would treat the people?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think his whole rhetoric was that we're liberating Ukraine. That was his position.
Yeah.
He said there were neo-Nazis in the east, of which there were, that he was trying to eradicate. And he said that there were positive Russian influences within the country that they were trying to merge with, which is partially true, but obviously not true for the greater Ukraine. I don't know what do you think? Like, I don't know. I don't know Putin well enough, you know? Like,
yeah. But I'm just saying any person in that situation.
you know, this goes back to the prince, to be honest. Like,
How?
like what in the prince, if you are trying to occupy and consume a foreign body, right, and make it part of your kingdom, you can do so, and there's an enforcement component involved in it. But if you have a foreign body that's of similar culture, of similar laws, right, and of similar languages, then that enforcement body that you need to impose is greatly lessened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I think about it in terms of Putin and Ukraine. Like they're similar enough to where, like, if Ukrainians assimilated by their own choice, like Putin would appreciate that, I think, and do it and assimilate gracefully. And he wouldn't. I don't think he would. He would consume them into a greater Russia and give them citizenship. I think ultimately, like they would be provided Russian citizenships with time.
So then where does the resistance lie in Ukraine? The need to be autonomous, to have your own power, to be self-governing, to retain your culture, your identity? Your identity is built around your separation from Russia?
I think so.
Just the resistance against attack. No one wants to be attacked.
Yeah.
Like what makes what motivates Ukrainians? Yeah, like you said, it's like in the long term, for years, what's going to keep you fighting for years, right? Like why not just become Russian? Like who cares? Like why do they care so much? You know? Maybe it is as simple as the impulse against being attacked, like it's offensive, you know? Maybe there's something more. Maybe it's offensive to their identity as a Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Like they want to be Ukrainian. They don't want to be Russian.
Well, it's offensive to everyone if someone attacks you. It's just someone attacks America.
Yeah.
Who cares who they are?
But my
like
point just being, like, why continue to resist when if you just gave in passively, your life would improve substantially?
Would it?
I'm assuming.
Why?
I mean,
What would it?
No death, no destruction.
you don't have, your children, brothers, sons going to war.
Yeah, but you could
and
be
die.
under a different government that's more oppressive.
Yeah.
To a degree,
you
but
don't
like,
know if that's the best case scenario.
there's an unknown, there's a risk, but like we've discussed, like I don't know how Putin would react, and maybe they have a perception of Putin of which he's incredibly oppressive, like for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like he
Terrible.
kills all his political dissidents, and,
Yeah.
or like poisons them and such. But maybe that's it. Maybe that's the motivating factor. They have no trust in Putin's authority and governance.
Well, how are Russian people living?
I mean,
Good? I doubt it.
it's not great, but honestly, for the vast majority of people, whether they're governed by, in Ukraine, for example,
Yeah.
it's not going to make a significant difference. I don't think.
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Now, of course, in terms of, international relations and, the intersection of the East and the West, yeah, that's significant. But for your average farmer or person who lives in a village or a small town, it's not going to make a significant difference.
Yeah.
But we just don't know much about Ukraine and Russia.
No, but I mean,
About,
I know the
like,
people.
certain
I have a good idea of
laws
the
and
people,
whatever.
and that I've seen a lot of videos, right, of interviews with just like your average Joe in Ukraine, and some people hate Putin, some people love him, but a lot of people just go about their lives, and the power, the most, who holds the power does not make a significant difference to them.
Yeah. Well,
However, what happened, you think that,
Putin's different than like
yeah, but
Biden
I'm saying like
holding power.
the average person in Ukraine, I don't think, based on whether Zelensky's in power or whether Putin is in power, I don't think that's going to significantly alter your level of life. Like at the end of the day, people are just trying to eat in that area. People are just trying to get food, be with their families, and live out their lives.
So you don't care if your ruler is Putin or Zelensky? I think I care.
In that case, yeah.
I don't know much about Zelensky as much as Putin, but
No,
I
like,
definitely
I'm not
don't want
saying,
Putin as my leader.
My point is that not
But,
what you want, but how it's going to affect your life.
But also the point that Putin is attacking you is already a red flag.
Yeah, I know,
as
but
to
that's just like
who that is.
Of course, yeah.
Clearly,
But-
that's not a great
okay.
leader if they're just attacking you for
Here's
no
another example, right? Like, more personal, I guess. The 4 years that Trump was president, I don't want him to lead me. I think he's a horrible person. I have no respect for him. I think he's the scum of the earth. I think he's a terrible person, a terrible leader. Did that significantly alter my level of living? No, it didn't really change.
You
my
can't
life
compare
at all.
Putin and Trump. The power is different.
Well, but the analogy is
Vastly
the same.
different.
What do
No,
you mean?
it's not.
The power is different. What does that mean?
Putin has way more power than Trump.
Does he?
I mean, I would think so.
Is
Domestically,
Putin the president?
at least.
Oh, domestically.
Putin
sure.
kills his adversaries. Trump can't kill his adversaries.
You're missing my point.
What's your point?
My point is that for the average person, who is in power does not affect your life.
But
That's
I'm
all he's saying. That's all he's saying. Forget
I'm not
Putin.
saying Putin's
Like, it
doing
doesn't
the
even
right
matter.
thing or anything like that.
Doesn't matter. Like, forget everything about Putin. Just for the average person, whoever is in power, your life doesn't really drastically change. Like, fucking
understand
Mickey
how that
Mouse
makes
can be the president of fucking
Yeah,
Ukraine,
that's my point. My point
and
is with
this dirt ass farmer in the middle of nowhere will still live his life.
Yeah,
It's like
Yeah, but you don't know that.
you don't know. He's
They can
saying
make some
that's
crazy laws.
he's saying that might be the case. He's not saying he knows for sure, but like,
Yeah, that
that's just
could
a point.
happen,
He's
but-
just saying that's a point.
I get what you're saying. Like to me, that makes sense in America. It doesn't really matter, for the most part, who's president. But when it's Putin can do anything he wants, right? He can kill you if he wants.
But he's also relatively, like, he's not gonna just be like, you know, the second billionth or millionth person in Russia, this random ass farmer, I'm gonna go out and kill them. Like, he just
Why not? He can do that. Trump can't do that.
He could do that.
Yeah,
but
so
he
then
wouldn't
it
do
makes
that.
a difference because Putin's crazy.
Yeah,
It
but
does make a difference who's in charge.
I don't
And-
think
and-
Putin's crazy. I think Putin's rational, and I don't think. I think if he assimilated Ukraine, he would treat the Ukrainian citizens the same as Russian citizens.
Okay, but I'm still saying you never know what Putin's gonna do. If Putin can kill his opponents, why can't he kill you? Because he doesn't like the way you look.
Because
he
you're
can.
not significant enough
Yeah,
to be killed for him to kill you.
But he can still do it.
he can.
He can change anything he wants.
But he also he values the people of Russia.
But people of Russia aren't living great, are they?
No, but he would still want them to live well.
Why?
Like,
Why
yeah,
does
their
he
lives
care?
aren't amazing. They have a lower level of life than we have here in the U.S. But I think at the end of the day, you know, Putin walks through the crowds and he sees the kids, and I think he's happy to see the Russian children and the babushkas and the vodka and everyone being happy.
The fuck?
I think if he had the choice,
Why? How do you know that?
I don't know for
I mean,
The-
he
the
makes
problem
calls
is
of
we
the
don't
nation-
know-
the national. He makes calls in his speeches of returning to the national greatness of Russia, the former Soviet Union.
Right.
I mean, that's what people say is part of his motivations for assuming or like conquering.
Like, my
Ukraine.
thought is he thinks that the level of life of the average person was higher when you had a return to the former Soviet Union, or if you could return to the power of Russia. Or he has this ideal of Russia being Russia and great and amazing, and he wants to, back in the day, wants to return it to that position that it was in previously.
Mhm.
No, now does that warrant a war? Absolutely fucking not. He's a war criminal for that. But
Exactly. So that makes him flawed. to
Yeah,
begin
yeah. The point is, I think we're getting distracted from the main point.
Yeah.
We were just talking about like the idea of why don't Ukrainians just surrender because life would probably be easier for them, right?
Yeah.
And for you, like you're thinking, no, Putin's fucking crazy. Like if he comes in, like who knows what can happen? He can kill left and right. Like this guy is a complete maniac. We can't let him have control of our government. We need to fight him, right? Another idea is like, oh, you know, it really won't make that big of a difference. Like even if he comes in, I'll still be able to farm my potatoes and drink my vodka and like I'll live life normally. It would not make a difference to me at all. But we see, obviously, like as we observe, we see Ukraine fighting back viciously, right? They're incredibly motivated. Right?
My point is, where does that come from?
Where is that coming from? And we've talked about another thing is like we were trying to project, we're trying to predict how would Putin actually treat the Ukrainians. From reading The Prince, I thought that he would treat them pretty well. Okay, so that's one point, and that's where that whole conversation stemmed from about like, oh, then you know, like their quality of life should be pretty much the same. But like,
at least compared to war, I think we can agree on the fact that their quality of life after they were assimilated into Russia would be higher than it is right now in a state of perpetual war and turmoil in which the Ukrainian citizens are being forced to leave or flee, and the ones who remain are fighting for their lives and for their homeland.
But that's the gamble, to make it better after war, after they won.
yeah. So like, what do you
Right.
think motivates someone to fight a war? Ultimately, is the question we're
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
One thing I'm thinking about in the back of my mind is like dignity. Like it offends my dignity and my masculinity and my character to submit to an invader. Instinctually, I'd want to defend.
Yeah.
Right. And I have like this feeling of this is something that is mine and I don't want to give it up. And you don't even have the right to even attempt to take it from
And
me.
couldn't you make
Yeah.
the argument that, similar to what we were talking about before, the dignity that you have is one of the main reasons that you would avenge the death of your
Yes,
sibling or your brother,
definitely.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Because I would feel like a coward and emasculated and like a little weak person if I didn't do anything about it.
And is that
Yeah.
the same thing that causes a father to die for their son, to save their son's life?
I think,
their
yeah,
children's
there's that
lives.
spirit to that. Yeah.
I could not live with myself. I would be disgusted. I would be vile
Yeah.
if I didn't do this.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And maybe I think that's kind of one of the components in fighting. Even if your quality of life gets worse, it's still one of those components. Like spiritually, you would be fucking. What I mean by spiritually, it's like your dignity, like how you think about yourself, your identity, would be in a worse position if you just
Right.
surrendered. You
Yeah.
know?
I think physical suffering and pain is bearable so long as you're mentally sound,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's also the what if. Like back to what you're saying. What if it becomes worse?
Yeah.
You know, like sure it could become better. But then what if you have to live with that feeling of, oh, life is worse because we just let ourselves get rolled over.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost, would you rather take the gamble
Yeah.
and build it up yourself?
Yeah.
So was Jesus a character that was without dignity then? Because he allowed himself to be rolled over?
Well, let me hit that point in 1 second.
That's a crime.
I don't think that's
Yo, you just open a can of worms.
That's a can of worms right there. Let me hit that in 1 second. I just wanted to say this. On your point, I would rather fight and die trying than give up. Right? Like,
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
and die trying. And maybe I
And
would
that's
rather
most
fight
people.
and have shit go worse. I would rather try and fail than to not even try in the first
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
You know?
Especially if you're getting attacked.
Yeah, especially.
There's a big
especially in
difference
that
between that.
consideration.
Yeah.
Back on the point of Jesus and not having dignity, I mean, I think he knew how much of like he became more than himself the moment that occurred. Like he became a martyr, right? Are martyrs people that are undignified?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because there's meaning there. It's not a giving up. It's he volunteered. He knew exactly what he was getting himself into. Like he was in the Garden of Gethsemane or whatever, fucking bleeding, sweat, you know.
Okay. And that parallels a point I was trying to make earlier. What if Ukraine did that voluntarily? That was more what I was saying in terms of the Putin, like how would Putin react? Is if Ukraine said, we're doing this because we're supporting and we're moving towards the highest ideal that humanity has of being peaceful and of turning the other cheek and of showing compassion towards your enemies, and we volunteer ourselves as an example, as an ideal that the rest of humanity can look upon and say, wow, you know, this was a great, not that this would ever happen in a billion million years,
right.
but how does Putin react in that situation? In the same way that
we don't know.
Yeah. But I'm saying, you know, your average person, right? I guess Putin's not your average person.
I get what you're trying to say.
I know what you mean.
I think is flawed in that, you know, no one's gonna just.
Well, beyond the practicality of it, though.
Yeah, it doesn't lie within the practical. Like, I can say yes that you could never get a large enough group of people to act in such a way. You only have a couple of examples throughout the history of humanity in which that has occurred. It's an extremely, extremely rare occurrence. So the fact that you would have an entire society that would partake in that is...
But what if they're
fanciful.
objectively
The thing
bad?
is, though, there needs to be redemption. There needs to be a prize at the end of all of that sacrifice. Like, you think about the civil rights movement in America, like, they were peaceful, right? But they were peaceful in progression towards equality, right? And
There's
they
an
gained.
end.
There's an end. Mahatma Gandhi was peaceful, and he was peaceful towards the progression of independence. But if you're peaceful towards the end of oppression, is that, like, Jesus was peaceful, and he died, but his redemption was bringing the kingdom of God into the hearts of man.
Yeah, but in this Ukrainian case, the end would be peace. It would be...
No, it wouldn't. How do you know it would be peace?
You don't, but that's
the problem. You don't know if it would be.
Neither did the people in the civil rights movement, though. Know that their peaceful protests would end.
That's totally different, though.
How is that different? It's the same thing.
Because you don't know if Putin wants peace or not.
You don't, but you also don't...
He doesn't want peace, obviously.
The thing is, you gotta make demands, though. Like, the civil rights movement made demands, Mahatma Gandhi made demands, Jesus made demands. He established his kingdom on earth. Like, if you submit without demands, then you submit for nothing. Like, then you submit into whatever the opposing party wants. Now you say you submit for peace.
What demands did Jesus make?
He brought the kingdom of God onto earth, so he established his kingdom in the hearts of men.
Well, that was the end, but he wasn't, to Pontius Pilate.
No, but he taught his disciples the reality of being godly, and then his disciples obviously spread that from there on out, and then the followership extended to modern day, and that's changed all of human civilization since that moment, right?
I'm more interested in the ideal of it all than I am in any sort of given outcome that you would get from it.
Yeah, and if you think about, like, just the ideal of it, though, like,
is it worthwhile?
Like, we don't want violence, fucking come on in, like, do whatever you want. That's kind of the mindset, right? And we're still dignified in our demands of that, because we value peace so highly. We can't be bothered by you in that sense. Well, what does that lead to? Like, what is that? How does that conclude?
To more violence.
No, but I mean, in terms of just, like, settling in that, like, as a person, like, being okay with that. Like, how is that something that can be dignified? Like, that's what I'm trying to, like, digest.
I think
it could be, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
It could go either way, of course, but that's the game.
I'm just thinking, how does this evolve? Like, what does this become, you know?
Right. But I'm almost like, I don't need the end. Does the end even matter here? Or is it just the act itself that's important?
It is how you approach it, because that's what we've been thinking about.
The ultimate selflessness.
Yeah.
And the ultimate, like, compassion for your enemies. Like, it doesn't get more extreme and radical than that.
So just letting your enemy take you over?
What is your ultimate intention?
I don't know if the intention matters. I think it's like that is something that's good in and of itself.
Well, I don't mean intention in terms of like what are the consequences. I mean like why are you doing this? Like I guess that's what we're discussing, right? Like we don't care about we don't care about what is the outcome of this, right? Anything can be the outcome. That's not important. But like, how do we approach this? And we brought up the argument of dignity, and we brought up the argument of like being peaceful with demands so that you can still have dignity, right? In those different cases. But like in this situation, like is this like how are you still dignified with the intention of promoting peace? Like that's the question, right? And like I guess it is still.
I don't think you're
still,
losing dignity.
I don't
there,
think you
as
are.
long
yeah.
as you're
very.
It's not cowardice. That's
exactly.
Motivating.
Exactly. I agree. I think if you truly fucking value peace like that, then that's still dignified and still honorable to do nothing in that sense, you know. Because that needs to be your focus. If it ever becomes anything else other than that, then you start having different reactions.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not. This isn't arising from fear, and it isn't arising from the thought that my life will be better if I allow Putin to conquer me.
Right.
It's arising from me valuing the act of turning the other cheek for the act in and of itself, not for any outcome that's going to be a derivative of that, but for that specific action.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can see that as totally valid and honorable and dignified.
Yeah. Now, obviously this would never happen, but I see that as potentially what Jesus would do in that situation. I think the thing that made Jesus so powerful was that I guess he did have ends, but there's something about just that action in and of itself that I think has value.
Yeah.
But do you not think that's flawed thinking? Because if you're always peaceful, someone can always use that against you.
Yeah. In terms of practicality, it doesn't translate, right?
Okay, so you're not talking about practicality.
No, we're not talking about practicality.
Okay, then I agree.
If there was a level of
But then it makes no sense. Sure, it makes sense, like, more, overall, of course, always be peaceful, but you can't.
I think what practicality is risk mitigation. That's what that means. Yeah. Like, how do you mitigate risk? And there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, yeah, you're right that, like, in a practical situation, like, am I going to go out and do this when I see some random-ass guy and he pulls a knife on me on the street? Like, hell no. Right? But let me live in my own little, castle in the sky and play around with this thought.
Yeah, exactly. I think the way humans actually operate in reality is a mixture of practicality and idealism.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us function off of pure practicality, nor do any of us function off of pure idealism. And I think perhaps with that Jesus example, we see a pure idealism in play, right? Because that is not worldly whatsoever. It is truly out of the world. And we see, like, how the fuck do we actually implement that? And we implement it as a blend because we're imperfect, right? But I think humans pursue ideals.
Yeah. What if, like, if that were actually to occur in the world, what would happen? Is what I'm interested in.
If that were to actually occur in the world, then, I mean, Putin, in his wholly rational thinking, would have no need to use any force, correct?
Right.
He would come...
But that's a people that they can't be conquered.
Practically, correct. You're right. It's like, it makes no difference. It doesn't make any difference to them. And then what would Putin do once he is of, like, that position? Like, he has no need to create, like... These are absolutely perfect, peaceful people. Like, what are the point of enforcement laws? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't even come into play. Like, it is just, you're just dealing with a perfect populace that are completely, like, docile, I suppose. Like, now, like, like things would be pretty nice, honestly. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, I guess, acts like that they've occurred. They have occurred in the world. But it's very case by case, very individualistic.
Yeah.
There's a handful of people in every generation that have been able to act truly altruistically. And that, I think that's a truly altruistic act. So, you know, in this case, you would have a whole populace, millions of people acting and behaving in that way. Of course, completely ridiculous. But one person, 2 people here and there, I think that can happen.
Yeah.
Les Mis, that book, Victor Hugo, there's this one character, Father Farapont, and a thief breaks into his room or his home, and he gives him his stuff.
Yeah. After he steals it.
Yeah, after he steals it. And the main thing that I guess I took away from the book is, at first, this thief was angry and like shocked, like how could anyone act like this way around me? Eventually he came back and like hit the priest. Because he was just so confused and shocked and didn't know how to respond to the kindness of a stranger. And but eventually he converted and became a priest and became the main character of the book. So it's those actions, when they occur, are revolutionary. And if you could get a group of people together that would act in such a way, I don't know. But there's so many biases and fears that detract from that focus of acting in that way. I don't know exactly what the example would look like on a day-to-day basis, that it's practically impossible. You can have these spurts of bravery or altruism, but that's it.
Yeah. That reminds me of a video I saw of an Islamic father who, in the trial, forgave his son's murderer and hugged him, and the murderer started crying in that moment.
Yeah.
That is like absolute selflessness right there.
Yeah.
And that changed the murderer's life forever, probably, right? I mean, just his whole mindset probably changed in that moment forever. Just to be loved by someone who would be the last person to love him.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's most ideal.
Yeah.
Right.
But also think about what that precedent sets. Then the next guy is like, sure, why not? Nothing's gonna happen to me.
Well, it's just a moment like that. Like, it's just a case moment. Like, it's not a systematic way of living your life. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of, it's not a model. It could be one, but is it a model that can be taken advantage of? Yeah, I mean, obviously, if all of Ukraine surrendered, you know, in terms of this perfect ideal of pursuing peace, but one person didn't, or something, or a group of people didn't, and said, hey, you know, put us in the middle position, middle management between you and Putin, all these losers who are surrendering and being peaceful, you know, put us in the middle position. Like, they just took advantage of all those people, right?
Yeah.
Like, the only way this thing works is if everyone does it. In
And
terms
the
of a
problem with
systematic
the
thing.
world is, we're created, from my perspective, from random mutation, right? In our DNA. You're guaranteed to have a certain level of the populace that doesn't feel empathy.
Yeah,
and
like
you're
the
guaranteed to
psychopathy
have
of-
a certain level of the population that have a proclivity towards aggression or violence based on literally their genes. And that in and of itself defeats the possibility of there being any sort of perfect populace. That random level of mutation. The randomness to our personality types and our values and what we care about.
Yeah, like, it's impossible to have perfect harmony in the perspective that there are discordant tones amongst this population that will persist forever and will never allow there to be perfect harmony. Yeah, perhaps, probably, yeah.
That shouldn't be discouraging though, because yourself on an individual basis can push towards that.
Right. We always pursue we always pursue ideals with a sense of practicality. That's humans. Those are humans. The greatest among us are the ones that reached idealism the best.
Or
Those
get
are the
closest.
best. Yeah, the closest.
to it.
They are the best of us.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was good.
Yeah, I think it's productive.
Should we stop there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
might as well. I'd like to continue this. I just need some more time to think about it. It's interesting stuff, though.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest.
Yeah. It's interesting how we came to like these natural conclusions just by talking about the death penalty and like
Yeah.
how we came all the way here from that.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's a right answer.
Well,
I think it depends on who you are and what your people is, and
yeah, we
what's
came to
your
that whole
ideals?
spectrum point, which I thought was pretty good.
like
Right.
who are we to be like what Ukraine should do? Like Ukraine has a whole totally different mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
all. This is all theory. This is nothing of
Yeah.
of actual practicality. Yeah.
Like if we put ourselves in their shoes, like
I'm not saying they
would
should
you
do
really
that.
let like China take you over?
No, I'm not saying you should do
No
that at
way.
all.
Like there's no way. You know.
My point isn't that they should do that. It's
It's just hypothetical.
yeah, very much hypothetical.
Mm.
It's just theory.
But
I mean, one thing I did learn from this conversation, though, is that all humans pursue ideal with practicality.
Yeah.
That's reality. Reality isn't pure practicality. Reality isn't pure idealism. There's a mixture.
yeah, I mean the other where we could go potentially in the future is when are ideals pointing in the wrong direction?
That's a good question.
Because you can say, right, 9/11, right? That was not practical.
No.
That was pure idealism.
Yeah.
But those ideals were misplaced in something that wasn't actually real.
That's true. It was a bad ideal, like a terrible ideal.
So, okay, right, like, the way that we live out our lives is idealism with practicality, right? Where do those ideals come from? And is that what distinguishes a good life? Like, we talked about this last podcast, like, what makes your life worth living? I said, remember, you need to know yourself. You need to examine your life. But maybe on the other side of that coin is pursue ideals. Or if that's not enough, pursue ideals that are worthwhile, that have value.
Like the right ideals.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because we can draw the distinction between Gandhi, who was pursuing ideals that I think we all would agree on, right? Brotherhood, what's the word? I'm blanking on it. Brotherhood and love and community, right? Versus the other ideals that the people who perpetrated 9/11 followed, which were the exact opposite: death, destruction, gore.
Yeah.
In pursuit of God, right? But a God that is violent and cruel.
Yeah. Right.
So, is there any backing for us saying that one is correct and one is incorrect and one is better than another? And
Those are good questions.
Well, yeah, and it's also
we'll go into
factors in-
existentialism at that point, I think.
well, also religion too.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah, you definitely changed my mind on the death penalty program.
Oh, yeah?
Were you
See?
pro?
Yeah, well, I just never really thought too much about it, but it makes sense. And I think it also comes down to what's more expensive.
I think the best argument for me is that we talked about this, is death in and of itself is not much of a punishment And there may be more retribution for having someone live out their life in prison. Now contrast that with what we were just talking about for the last 45 minutes. Is that me going against the ideal of compassion and forgiveness, right? By saying, I want the punishment to be worse for this person.
It just all depends on how you approach it. Like, I think that's something that I registered from this as well. It's like the purity of your intentions really matter, and how you are as a human. Like, if you can have the same exact outcomes occur and the same exact actions, but if your intentions are different in terms of like the dignity that we carry with ourselves, right, that can be damaged significantly. Like, can you go to war with honor and dignity, or do you go to war with shame and malice, right? It's exactly the same. It's still the same death, violence, destruction, but one is in some terms righteous in terms of defensive war, right, in this situation. Other one's unrighteous in terms of offensive, and then one, you lose yourself, right, and the other, you strengthen yourself, you gain yourself. And so like, that's something I learned from this conversation. Like, that goes back to the death penalty, how we approach it. Like, what are we enamored by the entertainment of death? Do we need to satiate ourselves by killing?
Or is it in pursuit of an ideal?
Or is it in pursuit?
Justice?
Exactly.
Right.
So that's important.
In a lot of moral, like ethics, there's a distinction between the action and the agent. They take it a different direction in that the only thing that matters is a lot of utilitarians, the only thing that matters is the action. So if Hitler, by wanting to kill all of the Jews, right, I don't know how you could even turn this into a positive. That came in there. No, let me get to my point. It's okay. Here's a better example. If there's someone on a boat and someone falls into the ocean, and you're a person on the boat, and your motivation for saving the person that is falling into the water is to make yourself look good and to become a hero, so you save their life. As an agent, I'd say you're pretty shitty, because you didn't save their life because they're a human being, and that's what you should do in that situation. But you did it for your own personal gain, whereas the opposite can be true, where someone falls into the water, and you're like, oh my God, this is a human being. I want to save their life, so I don't want to let them die. They have value to me. And you save them that way. In both cases, you've done the right thing, but there's a distinction between what your action and what your motivation was in that situation.
Yep.
Utilitarians would say that's not important.
Yeah, and I would disagree with
Most
them.
people would. So, yeah, these are all directions that we can go for the next podcast. I think before the next one, we should rewatch this back and
yeah, this was
see where we want to go.
I'm pretty happy with this one. I thought this was a good. I learned a lot actually from this.
Yeah. Changed my mind for sure. Should we stop it here so I can go to bed?
You want to sign us off?
Take my freaking geology quiz. Signing off, this is Pravab, Justin, and Caleb.
Adios.
See ya.
See ya.